talked about a lot of successful campaigns in your journey. I'm sure there would be certain campaigns that you've learned a lot from.
Sure, definitely. I think every campaign. So every campaign would have certain hits, every campaign would have certain misses.
These viral reels that come out, which are moment marketing, do you think they tend to stay?
So moment marketing, I think it's a good way to capitalize on what's getting viral.
This AI in marketing, do you think it enhances creativity or takes away from it? Welcome to Whoa, That Was Good, where we don't shy away from asking the big questions that shape the future of marketing. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Mohit Taneja, whose 18 years of career spans across global leaders like Adidas to national leaders like Vedanta and Jindal. Welcome, Mohit,
Thank you.
to our podcast today. We are super excited to hear from you. As we were speaking, you were telling us that you're a very avid golf player, right? And something I've always heard you say is, your next big thing is the next shot that you take. We would love to hear about that philosophy and how you implement it in your daily life.
Yeah, I think that's, I would say, the mantra for me. So I think that helps me keep, myself, I would say, future focused. And I don't get clouded by the successes or the failures that I've had in the past. So I think it gives you a clean slate and a blank space to build on. And being a golfer, I have seen myself that, sometimes you have a bad shot and you land up in a bunker, or, you're in the woods, and then suddenly you start realizing what's going to happen next. I'm going to lose this hole and all that. And then you have a phenomenal shot and you land up on the green and you see that, your other colleagues are not yet there. So then suddenly you realize that that one shot changed the game for you. So I think that's what the real world scenario is as well. So you don't know what's your next shot is going to do to you. So I think that can be a game changer for you. That is something that can put you in the next trajectory. So I would say that always be future focused and good things will happen.
So, marketing maestros, I hope you are listening to this mantra because that is what will get you closer to your next big successful campaign. Talking about successful campaigns, congratulations on winning the gold at Stakes PR and Communication Excellence Award for Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign. Would love to hear behind the scenes what inspired you to bring out that campaign, the success and failures of it.
No, sure. So, in fact, I'll quote a couple of campaigns which I think would have been great learnings for me. So, one was during my tenure at Adidas, and so the one that you're talking about was in Vedanta. So, we won a lot of awards for our two campaigns, Desh Ki Zaruratton Ke Liye and Atmanirbhar Bharat, and we had worked with Prasoon on that quite closely. So, I think so. Coming on to the this campaign first, which was Atmanirbhar Bharat and Desh Ki Zaruratton Ke Liye. So I think this campaign, the insight which was there is that whatever is being used above the ground eventually comes from below the ground. So that is why mining is essential. And and you might take a pot shot that it's not a great thing to do. You might I'm just quoting you an example. You might pick up your phone and you might tweet that mining is not great, but you won't even realize, the device that you're using to tweet that would not have been there had there been no mining, right? No metal, no phone. So eventually, I think the insight that we had over there was that whatever is being used above the ground eventually comes from below the ground. And then we created this campaign wherein there is a kid who's very curious, and he asks his father कि ये पेन की निब कहाँ से आती है. And then his father is like, I do not know. And then he refers him to somebody, and then that person takes him to a mining site wherein the engineer explains to him कि ये निब तो लोहे से बनती है और लोहा जमीन के अंदर से आता है. So that's how we establish that connection of using a child's curiosity to eventually kind of put that thought that how essential mining is. So I think which helped us crack and get into the minds of people at large and make them understand about this sector. And then I would give another example of one of the campaigns that we did during my Adidas days, and it was 2011, and India was hosting the World Cup at that time, and all these players were Viv Richards and from Dean Jones. They all were here, And then we have Indian cricketers like Kapil Dev, Murli Karthik, Nikhil, etc. So they all play golf. So a lot of cricketers play golf, by the way, including Brian Lara, and I've been fortunate to be on the course with him. So yeah, so we thought of a proposition when the whole world was talking cricket, and not just India, because it was a World Cup. The whole world was talking cricket, specifically in India. So we did a, kind of created a tournament which was Kapil Dev versus Viv Richards, because both of them were here and they made their own teams of cricketers, and we did this at ITC golf course in Gurgaon. And then and we were not anticipating, and we saw that, because cricket was there and then all these legends were there, so the kind of awareness we were able to raise about the golf, using this as a pivot, was something that, we also didn't realize that, it could be that big. So the idea is that how you can use the existing, moment marketing, I would say, as an advantage for building the awareness, or whatever you wish to do. That could be sales, that could be just an awareness and all that. So I think that really helped us in increasing the awareness, because usually when you do a tournament you might get featured, here and there, but suddenly we saw that everybody wanted to write about it. The whole internet was flooded about how this Kapil versus Viv tournament happened, and eventually Kapil's team had won. So I think how you utilize that particular moment in order to create an advantage and a lever for your campaign, suddenly puts you in the next orbit.
You're very right. Marketing is beyond just understanding the brief that you get from a brand and just translating it. It's going deeper into the research, understanding of your audience, understanding what the audience is consuming at the moment, and then picking it up and building a campaign that resonates back with them. So, like we were just having this conversation about how brands actually select the right agency for them, and you shared a lot of insights on that. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, so okay, so I think on the client side, of course, there is a certain problem statement that we're trying to solve, and I think then the same problem statement is given to the multiple agencies, and then they come and pitch. So I think, what as a client, what a marketing person is looking at is that how closer you are to that particular problem statement, and not just on your capabilities, because that, I think, people do a screening pre and they understand that this particular agency has the capability, and that's why they call you for a pitch. But I think it's about, at that moment, the solution that you're offering to him and how closely he can resonate with that, because there's something in his mind which he knows, which he wants to give a shape to, right? But he wants that right partnership which can help him get that vision delivered onto the ground. So I think it's that resonance to the particular problem statement that has been offered, and the kind of a delivery that you're pitching on that particular time will define whether you get through or not.
Super. Talking about this stint with Adidas and Vedanta and Jindal, it brings me to this thought. Both are very different in terms of their global span, and one being a national leader. I'm sure there's a lot of difference in the communications that happen for both these conglomerates, and Adidas having a global appeal. So how do you tailor your communication to resonate with a global audience, yet keeping a very localized connecting feel to the audience as well?
Yeah, no, so yeah, you're absolutely right. So I would say, from a marketing sketchbook, the wireframe remains the same, because you have to crack the right narrative, you have to crack the right channel, and then you have to crack the right delivery mechanism to reach out to particular audience. But however, there are differences in each of these domains. Like, for example, for a B2B company, for a B2C company, social media at large might be very important. So if I'm a company which has a product which people need to see, Instagram is great for me, right? But for a B2B company, it might be LinkedIn, right? It might not be the other spaces in the social media which will help him, right? Similarly, for a B2C, uh, I would say, wherein there is a opportunity to be seen again and again, because you try to build that repetition and awareness, so that when he has the need, he remembers you, he remembers that particular brand. Wherein I think in B2B, it's more to do with, because it's industry specific, so it's more to do with experience with your brand and experience with your stakeholders, And on a B2C, it's I would say it's a shorter vision, because the cycle, you might call it a marketing cycle or a sales cycle, is much shorter. You deliver a campaign and you get results out of it, wherein for a B2B company it's much more longer tenure. There's a much more bigger gestation period. You're trying to build a narrative with a stakeholder which will take a very long haul. So the vision over there is different. So I think it's about a different content. In B2C it's more to do with the aspirational, as well as I will say lifestyle kind of a content, and a lot of emotional attribute that you put in your marketing campaigns, wherein for a B2B campaign you will be much more pragmatic, and you will talk about industry, you will talk about and that could be a national pedestal that you're talking about if you're working in those industries wherein you impact the nation at large. So those are more focused towards those areas, wherein a B2C it will be more like an ROI and an immediate impact and a shorter haul, etc. So I think different content, different channel of delivery, and overall, considering the cycle of the whole campaign, things would change, but the sketch would remain the same for marketing.
Super. You've managed budgets of ranging from $1 million to $15 million. So how do you decide the ROI of the campaign, and how do you decide the success matrix of such campaigns?
Yeah, so I would say nowadays a lot of tools are available. So whatever realm you take on digital, so it's very clear in black and white, and you have all your tools to monitor and all that. Even the PR bit also is now, I think, fully put into black and white. So these articles, what is the space that this article would have otherwise, which is basically the, I would say, the opportunity cost of that particular thing, of that particular real estate that you were able to capture, put that into a number. So I think there are a lot of tools now in every realm where you can monitor what's working for you. So I think what you need to do is, one, you need to be agile, because while your campaign is being executed, and if you're monitoring it in real time, you should have that flexibility to pivot. You know that this is working for me, this is not working for me, right? Whatever testing you might do, and even on digital also, whatever multivariate A/B testing, whatever you might do, but the actual result might differ. So I think it's very important to closely monitor that, need to have that flexibility to pivot. And I think that really helps, because if you have that flexibility, then your mindset is like you're closely monitoring, and then you put in the funds wherein you get the bang for the buck. So it's much easier. So keep that flexibility and keep monitoring. Tools are available. It's just about figuring out what's right for your particular campaign and then matching it up.
Interesting, very interesting. So, marketing in general is had been considered like a gimmick or something that people in the marketing fraternity just kind of gloat about. Does it actually reach the real audience? Does it actually impact them? Does it actually influence global leaders positioning in the market to keep spending into the marketing ROI?
No, absolutely. I think so. I would give a couple of examples out here. I think from a brand perspective, I think Apple has been able to get onto that particular mind space. So today you will just go and pick up an Apple product, and you might have other brands and other products which might, on paper specifications and in terms of the innovation that they're bringing in, they might be putting in on table far superior innovations or a far superior specs, but you will still pick up an Apple, because it's an extension of your own brand. They've been able to position itself. And I think somewhere I was reading, they call themselves as a design company. So they're not saying that we are into the top specs products. They are a design company, so they've been able to carve that niche and that brand space for themselves through marketing, right? We're not even talking product here. We are saying whatever Apple comes up tomorrow, you're going to pick it up.
Right.
So
It's a status, and that's been built with the
you
marketing.
can't do that without marketing. So it is for real.
This is very true for agencies, especially to function like a brand partner and be agile enough to go into deeper impact of what the campaign actually is bringing out as an outcome rather than an output.
Absolutely. So I think most of the people get entangled into that output kind of a thing, because they will say we have delivered X million impressions to you, we have delivered X million views to you, but that's not the outcome what the client was looking for, right? For a client, the problem was whether he has been able to penetrate the category or not, or let's say if it's a sales driven campaign, or if it's was a brand perception campaign, whether he has been able to change the perception of his stakeholders to that extent or not. So I think a lot of people get entangled between that. So I think for an agency also, they should be very vigilant to the fact that what is the outcome expected out of the campaign. The output is just a checkpoint, right? Because output nahi tha to outcome to nahi aayega, that is for sure. But output tha and then outcome aayega, that is also not sure. So that is something that you really need to be cognizant of.
So that brings us to the next round of our podcast, which is a rapid fire round. So I'll go question by question, and you can answer with what first comes to your mind. The first thing you do in the morning.
First thing that I do in the morning is read newspaper.
And that's the source of all the learning that we're hearing today.
So I think my day starts with the newspaper, and if there are certain days when the newspaper doesn't come, so I think I get a little jittery those days, because it is so attuned into my schedule that the moment I get up, I need the newspaper.
Well, which brings us to the next question, which is AI in marketing. Do you think it enhances creativity or takes away from it?
The realm of creativity would be much larger with AI, and with these tools coming in like Sora and all that, I mean, I'm 100% sure that in future, starting with, let's say, animation movies to the main scale movies, everything is going to happen on AI.
Marketing videos today have started being created entirely in AI.
Yeah, and also look at the brilliant advantage, because let's say I have a brand ambassador, I take that brand ambassador. He has a message that he conveys, and then I have to translate that message into 80 languages. So I'm not gonna tell him that you're gonna have 80 voiceovers, and even forget about the languages. I'm saying I have 2000 distributors, okay, and I have a brand ambassador, let's say an Amitabh Bachchan or a Shah Rukh Khan or Sachin Tendulkar, and then he says that to that particular distributor, he's marketing that particular distributor, because that part of thing is getting changed with AI. So now every distributor feels that this brand ambassador is marketing my shop, right? So I mean, imagine that scale that you can create with that because of AI. So I think it's going to be a great enabler, both in terms of the creativity as well as in terms of the reach it is going to give you from your for your marketing campaigns,
If used in that manner.
if used in the right manner.
Sure. Short videos versus long video format, which is the format that brands can never lose.
So I think the future is shorter format, because again, for the same reasons, you have lesser mind space. The attention spans are, and there are research studies on that, that the attention spans are really condensing from that perspective. So I think if you have to catch them, you have to catch them. I would say fast. So you have to really get onto that mind space very fast, and that's how the short video works, and that's why the reel format and the other formats have been a great success.
Very interesting. This brings me to the next question, which is these viral reels that come out, short form reels that come out, which are moment marketing. Do you think they tend to stay, or should the brand, say global leaders like Adidas and Vedanta jump onto these trends while risking it all?
So, moment marketing, I think it's a good way to capitalize on what's getting viral. I think that really helps. So, moment marketing, building onto moment marketing is a wiser thing, but then you have to be careful as well, because sometimes you don't think through, because it comes so fast. You just want to ride the wave, and then you ride the wave, but then you eventually realize that that was not with the ethos of my brand what I did. So I think for that particular window you have to be very careful, but I think it's a great tool. Why not? I mean, if there is something that can give you an inorganic advantage, why not?
Interesting. Which brand will never lose you as a user?
Which brand will not lose me as a user? Maybe Adidas, because I worked with them. So I think I'll be loyal to the brand. You're a core brand ambassador to the. Yeah, because when you live the brand, I think somewhere it gets onto you. So like for me, so I worked with the golf vertical of Adidas, which was tailor-made. So even now, after leaving that, if you go onto the course and if you have to like even wear a competition glove, you're like, you hesitate. You might have got that in a tournament, but you hesitate to wear that, because that's what you have kind of trying to inculcate all through your tenure, and then suddenly you can't reverse it. So I think, yes, the brands that you've worked for, and that brands, so B2B brands, of course, you have lesser touch point, so you don't have like a direct interface. Otherwise, for all the brands that you have worked for, you will be loyal to them. And I think, yeah, so I think it's for everyone.
That's loyalty, guys. Print ads or digital campaign?
So I think both of them have their own advantage. Till the time print has the audience, it makes a lot of sense, because like I again said that you have that kind of a window wherein you have a larger canvas. So digital, you have a smaller canvas, so you can't put in a lot of things. Like it's more like a scroll format that you follow. But on a print, let's say if you have a full page ad and you want to talk about 5 points, you can put all those 5 points together in a single canvas, and people can consume it. So, and I think people have a little more mind space when they look at the print ad than when they look at the digital ad. But again, for as the audience is changing, because people don't have that morning time with them, and they want to consume the news also on the go in a shorter format, then of course digital is a play wherein you can't miss out. I mean, there is, if the trend changes from print, but it's not happening like really fast, I would say. So in between, there was a time when everybody was saying print will just go, it's all digital, and there are going to be no newspapers tomorrow. But that has not happened yet. I think still a lot of physical format is still available, which is going to stay. But yeah, future is for digital, and I think you can't deny that.
Like the innovative experiential campaign that Flipkart just came out
Yeah,
with.
so the vibe campaign that you're talking about. Yeah, I think so. Over there, I think the differentiator was, I would say, giving an experience, right? Because and brands like Flipkart or even quick commerce, I think they're touching everybody's life. So there's hardly anybody, out here who would not have interacted with these brands. So eventually, so you are interacting. So I think the audience base that they have is so large that doing this kind of an innovative activity will bring in a lot of experience, because people know that brand, so that they want to experience that. Similarly, for let's say auto guys are also doing a lot of innovation. They'll give you a QR code where you can experience the whole thing. And because they're touching a lot of people aspirationally, I might not want to buy a Mercedes tomorrow, but I would still be an auto enthusiast, so I will get onto it. Wherein let's say a B2B brand doing this might not fly off that quickly, because I might hesitate that if a B2B company has given me something for experience and I do not have a touch point, so I might not do that effort to bring out my phone, scan the QR code, and see what they're trying to say, unless I have an kind of an window with the brand. And if that brand is giving me an emotion experience, I would latch onto it.
Interesting. So we've talked about a lot of successful campaigns in your journey. I'm sure there would be certain campaigns that you've learned a lot from.
Sure, definitely. I think every campaign. So every campaign would have certain hits, every campaign would have certain misses, and then this has been done in the right way. This could have been done better. So I think there is no perfect campaign. Some campaigns like really work and you feel very good about it because that's what you wanted, and some campaigns don't do that well. So I think then, and that's why I said that it during the campaign you should have the flexibility to pivot. That's very important. More so from the media planning perspective. Creative, you can't change that fast, but I think media channels and all that you can change very fast these days. So I think that is something you need to closely monitor. And then of course every campaign is a learning for the next campaign. So then you build onto it, and that's why it's important to also have a feedback. So doing a campaign, moving on to the next campaign, again you won't figure out what you have really missed, because see, you have a colored mind, because there was a mindset with which you did the campaign. You believe it worked that way, whereas on the ground it might not have. So I think it's important to close that loop, get that feedback for the audience it was meant to be, then collaborate whether it worked the way you wanted it to work, and if there's a gap you can plug. So I think that's also one of the big misses that as in the marketing realm people do. They don't believe in the power of getting the right feedback. So one campaign after the other campaign and all that, and not getting the right research or a right kind of a feedback done, and that could be shorter and quicker. You don't have to do an extensive research of months to figure out things. There are tools now which can quickly. And in fact, I was talking to research agencies and all that nowadays, that kind of technology they deploy. So they'll show you an ad and they'll see in the camera whether your pupil has dilated or not, which means you have got excited seeing that
Seeing the
campaign or not.
campaign.
So it's that easy, right? So you don't have to, I mean, there's no chance you can, say something which you didn't want to, because they're catching up your body language. So I think things are moving very fast. So it's important to get that feedback, close that particular loop, figure out the gaps those were there, build on to that gaps, and then move on to the next gap.
Wow, there's so much to take away from this podcast. One buzzword in marketing that you wish would disappear completely.
Automatically monitored, which is ROI, because sometimes you're doing a campaign with a very different intent, right? So your ROIs are, let's say, sometimes long term, they're not short term. And then, other people start judging you because they think आज कैंपेन किया कल कुछ नहीं हुआ टाइप, राइट? वेदर इट वाज नॉट मेंट टू बी दैट वे. So I think every campaign should have an ROI, because without an ROI there is no campaign. But I think it needs to be defined very well, which doesn't happen, because all the campaigns are not meant to be, give you an immediate after effect. Some campaigns are very long haul, and you would have seen all the great brands that have been built. If you go and see their campaigns in the past, you would realize they were never meant to generate a quick outcome at that particular time, because they didn't even talk about it. They talked about future, that they're going to build the future, they're going to be this, the number one company, when they were even not, right? So I think it's defining the ROI in the right manner, and then convincing your internal stakeholder also that this is what I am looking for, so that then the internal stakeholders are not disaligned, because they might think again that you're doing this campaign and it's going to be give you a quick ROI. So once your internal stakeholders align and they understand that this is the ROI you're looking at, which could be a long haul or a short haul or a category penetration or an immediate sales or a brand recognition and awareness or a brand perception or a change in perception or a policy change, whatever it may be. So I think those ROIs need to be defined rather than making it a buzzword of every campaign, and evaluating it in terms of the impressions and the views. I think that should disappear, and it should be a far more well articulated ROI for each campaign, which needs to be defined.
Thank you, Mohit. It was very, very interesting and insightful to chat with you. Thank you for keeping it real and bringing such wonderful stories from your past experience. And listeners, hope you have caught onto the learnings, and see you in our next podcast.